In this world, everybody want to be seen, but nobody want to build. Everybody want to go viral, but nobody want to grow. But the truth is, the strongest foundations are always laid in the quiet. The biggest breakthroughs come when nobody's watching. The real bosses, the real innovators, the real creators, they don't talk about the work, they are the work. And that's a mindset I had to learn early on. When the lights were off, when the world wasn't checking for me, when nobody believed the vision but me, that's when the marathon really started. And I want to talk to you today about that, about moving in silence, about letting your results do the talking. Because in a world that rewards noise, discipline becomes your superpower, focus becomes your flex, and silence becomes your strategy. A seed don't grow in sunlight first. It grows underground where nobody can see it, hidden, buried, quiet. And that's exactly how your dreams move before they take shape. Everything that's real, everything that lasts, everything that becomes strong starts where the world can't witness it. People see the flower, but they never acknowledge the soil. They see the breakthrough, but not the breakdown. They see the result, but not the repetition. The world don't need to see your process. They only need to see the progress. And if you let the silence shape you, it'll make you sharper, stronger, more intentional than any spotlight ever could. When I first started recording in my mom's small back room, I swear it felt like the world was miles away. No labels knocking, no cosigns trying to ride the wave, no fans hitting up my phone. Just a young kid with a cracked mic, a notebook full of dreams, and a hunger that couldn't be silenced. People didn't think it would turn into anything because they couldn't see the vision. They couldn't hear the grind in my voice, the late nights, the sacrifices, the pressure. And that's what a lot of you feel right now, like you're doing everything right and nobody's noticing. But that's the point. That season isn't punishment, it's preparation. You're not invisible, you're being developed. Most people get discouraged during that quiet season because they think silence means failure. They think if nobody's validating them, nobody cares. But silence ain't a sign you losing, it's a sign you growing. See, roots don't grow on the surface. They grow deep, they anchor you, they strengthen you. They make sure when the wind hits, you don't fall apart. And your dream is the same way. It needs time underground. It needs time to mature. It needs time where nobody is clapping, nobody is watching, nobody is expecting anything from you. So you can focus on the craft, not the applause. I had to learn early that the work you do in private determines the life you live in public. Everybody wants the moment where people say, "Damn, I didn't know you had that in you." But nobody wants the nights where you're practicing alone, where you're studying when your friends are out, where you're risking everything with no guarantee. That's the season God uses to build your character. That's the season that separates the ones who want attention from the ones who want legacy. And here's the truth, not everybody want to hear talking too much about your goals tricks your mind. There's a study from Harvard that says when people speak about what they're planning to do, their brain releases dopamine, the same chemical you get when you actually accomplish something. That means the more you talk, the more you feel like you already did it, and the less likely you are to actually follow through. Imagine that just by announcing your plans, you steal the hunger you need to complete them. You drain the urgency. You dilute the discipline. That right there is why you gotta stop announcing and start executing. Keep your moves private. Keep your intentions sacred. Keep your dreams protected. Everybody ain't supposed to have access to what you're building. Too many voices will confuse your own. Too many opinions will weaken your conviction. Too much exposure too early will kill momentum before you even get started. Your dream is like a newborn, fragile, sensitive, protected. You don't put a baby out in the streets before it can walk. You keep it close, you nurture it, you strengthen it, you let it grow in safety. And that's how you gotta treat your ideas, your grind, your goals. Give them time to breathe without pressure. Give them room to become something real before the world gets a say. And I know it's hard because we live in a time where everybody is addicted to being seen. Everybody's posting every step like progress don't count unless it's online. People want to show the journey before they've even started walking it. But attention don't build nothing, likes don't equal discipline. Followers don't guarantee success, and validation doesn't equal value. A million eyes can watch you grind, but if you lack consistency, it won't matter. Sometimes the things that hurt your growth are the same things that feed your ego. You gotta be willing to disappear for a while. You gotta be willing to go missing from the noise so you can show up different when it's time. The caterpillar ain't ashamed of the cocoon. It knows transformation happens in a space nobody else gets to enter. Your cocoon season is necessary. Your private season is essential. You don't owe anybody proof of progress. You owe yourself the discipline to keep going even when nobody's clapping. Don't ever forget, the greatest stories ever told were written in silence. Athletes train for years before their first championship. Entrepreneurs grind in basements long before the company becomes known. Musicians craft for decades before the world finally discovers them. Every success story has a chapter the world never sees. So don't rush your moment. Don't force exposure. Don't cling to recognition. Don't fear the quiet. Let the dark develop you. Let the silence strengthen you. Let the unseen build you into something undeniable. Because when you finally rise, when that seed breaks the ground, when your work speaks for you, when your results show up louder than any words ever could, that's when the world will understand why you had to stay hidden for so long. Growth ain't supposed to be loud. It's supposed to be real. It's supposed to be focused. It's supposed to be intentional. And when you honor that process, the world won't just see your progress, they'll feel it. They'll respect it. They'll know it was built off discipline. Not desire off faith, not applause off silence, not spectacle. And that's the difference between people who want attention and people who want impact. One is loud, the other is legendary. Every time you open your mouth, you give the world a chance to plant seeds in your mind, seeds you never ask for, seeds you don't need, seeds that grow into doubt if you're not careful. And doubt is loud, doubt echoes, doubt multiplies. That's why silence is more than a discipline, it's armor. It protects the dream before the world gets a chance to shoot holes in it. Because the truth is, opinions kill more dreams than failure ever will. Failure at least teaches you something. Opinions just slow you down and make you question what you already know in your soul. Sometimes people ain't haters. They just don't understand the level of thinking you on. They don't have your vision, so they judge it through their limited lens. You tell somebody you want to build a business, and instantly they start listing everything that could go wrong. Not because they're evil, but because their imagination has boundaries yours doesn't. You tell them you want to invest, and they talk about risk like living every day afraid ain't the biggest risk of all. You tell them you want to level up, and they tell you to be realistic. But here's the thing, realistic never built anything legendary. Being realistic never created innovation, never built an empire, never made history. Everything legendary started as something unrealistic. A dream so big it made other people uncomfortable. When I was building the Marathon brand, people said it was too risky to stay independent. They said it was impossible to compete with major labels with no big machine behind me. They couldn't see the blueprint because it wasn't theirs to see. They judged the journey through their limited understanding of the music industry, not realizing I wasn't following their map, I was creating my own. And that's exactly why I stayed quiet. Because what's divine ain't meant for everybody to inspect. Some visions are too sacred to be shared, not because you're scared, but because they're not ready. They can't comprehend a destiny that wasn't assigned to them. Sometimes you gotta move like a chess player, quiet, intentional, strategic. You don't tell everybody your next move because you're not trying to impress them. You're trying to win. That silence is not weakness, it's strength. It's wisdom. It's knowing that the more voices you let into your atmosphere, the more distractions you invite into your mind. And distraction is the enemy of elevation. You can't reach the top if you're carrying the weight of everybody else's fears. People project their insecurities. If they're scared to try, they'll tell you your dream is too bold. If they don't believe in themselves, they'll call your ambition unrealistic. If they failed, they'll assume you will too. That's why you gotta protect your vision like it's your child. Because in a way it is. It's fragile at first. It needs nurturing, not criticism. It needs patience, not pressure. It needs faith, not fear. Think about a mother in the early stages of pregnancy. She doesn't announce it to everybody right away. Not because she's ashamed, but because she's protecting something that's still forming. Something powerful but vulnerable. That's how you treat a dream. You keep it close. You shield it. You give it space to grow without outside interference. Because the world is full of energy drainers. People who don't even realize they're killing your momentum with their doubts, their fears, their small talk, their negativity disguised as advice. You ever notice how when you share an idea with the wrong person, suddenly your excitement drops, suddenly you feel unsure? That's not your intuition speaking, that's interference, that's noise. And noise is dangerous because it distracts you from what you already know. Noise makes you overthink moves you were ready to make. Noise shakes confidence that was once solid. You gotta understand that your vision don't belong to the world, it belongs to you. Not everybody is supposed to clap for you. Not everybody deserves a seat at your table. Some people only show up to taste the meal, not to help you cook it. Some people want to hear your idea just to measure whether you'll outgrow them. Some people want to know your plans not to support you, but to gossip about you. That's why silence isn't just a strategy, it's protection. And don't get it twisted, silence doesn't mean loneliness, it means selectiveness. You keep a small circle of people who genuinely understand your path, people who feed your energy, not drain it, people who remind you who you are when the world tries to make you doubt it. When I was coming up, I had a lot of folks around me who couldn't see past the block, not because they were dumb, but because nobody ever showed them anything different. If I had listened to every warning, every fear, that's not possible. I would have never built half the things I did. I had to disconnect from the noise to connect with the vision. So ask yourself, who are you sharing your dreams with? Who are you giving access to your blueprint? Are they building you up or breaking you down? Are they adding clarity or adding confusion? Because the wrong voice at the right time can delay your destiny. You got to protect your dream with the same intensity you'd protect your peace. Protect it from naysayers, protect it from non-believers, protect it from people who only remind you of limits instead of potential. Protect it from the world long enough for it to grow legs of its own, long enough for it to become strong enough to walk without validation, long enough for it to develop the roots that keep it from being blown over by criticism. Silence lets you keep your power. Silence keeps you grounded. Silence keeps your vision pure. And when the time is right, when the dream has grown strong, when the work has taken shape, when the foundation is unshakable, you won't need to announce anything. Your results will speak. Your progress will speak. Your glow will speak. And the same people who doubted you will have no choice but to listen. When you talk too much about what you're about to do, you start creating for the applause instead of creating for the purpose. You start performing for the crowd instead of performing for the calling. And the moment you shift your intention from progress to validation, you lose the purity of the grind. You lose the part of the journey that builds character, resilience, and mastery. You lose yourself in the noise. And that's dangerous because your dream was never meant to be shaped by opinions. It was meant to be shaped by execution. When you keep everything quiet, the only voice you hear is your own. The only expectations you feel are the ones you set for yourself. Silence removes the pressure of having to prove anything. It lets you move freely. It lets you experiment, fail, learn, rebuild, and evolve without the world watching every move you make. Because the truth is, when too many eyes are on you too early, it changes how you operate. You start thinking about how you look instead of how you're growing. You worry about perception instead of progress. You begin protecting an image instead of strengthening your reality. That's why athletes train in silence, hours in the gym, no crowd, no cameras, no cheers, just sweat, repetition, and quiet intensity, just them and the work. By the time the world sees the highlight, that one perfect moment, that game-winning shot, they have no idea it came from thousands of unseen hours, thousands of early mornings, thousands of moments when they wanted to quit but didn't. People fall in love with the victory, but they never respect the invisible grind behind it. And that's exactly why you don't need to announce your process. You just need to trust it. Greatness is made in isolation. Greatness is built in silence. Greatness is a result of deliberate discipline, intentional work that nobody celebrates at first. Everybody wants the spotlight, but it's the shadows that shape the legend. I remember hearing Jay-Z talk about building Reasonable Doubt. Back then, he wasn't respected like he is now. He wasn't a billionaire. He wasn't a business icon. He was just a young, hungry artist with a vision nobody else understood yet. He didn't chase trends. He didn't copy what was hot. He didn't beg the world to notice him. He locked in. He trusted the work. He trusted the sound. He trusted the long term over the short term. And eventually, the world caught up. His silence wasn't a weakness. It was a strategy. He didn't need permission. He didn't need applause. He let the product speak. That's the blueprint. You work like nobody's watching. So when the world finally sees you, the quality is undeniable. You stack your wins in silence, so when they finally come to the surface, they're solid enough to stand on their own. You ever notice how when you tell people your goals, suddenly you feel pressured to hit them? Suddenly you're not moving for yourself. You're moving for the expectations you created. You're trying to impress instead of trying to improve, and that steals the joy from the journey. Execution becomes performance. Progress becomes presentation. Purpose becomes performance art. The grind ain't supposed to be a show. It's supposed to be sacred. It's supposed to be between you, the work, and the vision. When nobody's watching, you're honest with yourself. You admit your weaknesses. You study your mistakes. You refine your craft without judgment. You build at your own pace instead of racing against imaginary timelines. Silence helps you focus because it removes the temptation to rush. It removes the urge to compare. It keeps you grounded. When nobody knows what you're up to, you don't have to fake progress. You don't have to pretend everything is perfect. You don't have to create illusions just to keep up an image. You can move at the speed of real growth, not the speed of social validation. And let's be real, consistency is hard when you're trying to impress people, but it's natural when you're trying to improve yourself. That's why some people burn out fast. They start strong because of the attention, but once the attention fades, so does their motivation. The ones who last, the ones who leave a legacy, are fueled by something deeper. They're fueled by purpose, by discipline, by vision, not by applause. Think about the entrepreneurs who build billion-dollar companies. People think they came out of nowhere. They think it was luck, timing, or a viral moment. But in reality, before the world even knew their name, they spent years in obscurity refining what nobody cared about yet. They were solving problems, building teams, making mistakes, fixing them, learning, adjusting, and growing. And when their moment came, they were ready. Not because they talked the loudest, but because they worked the smartest. Silence allows you to master your craft without distraction, and mastery attracts everything you want: respect, opportunity, success, recognition, without you having to chase any of it. When you build something real, it sells itself. When you create something valuable, people come to you. When your work is strong, it does all the talking. Silence also strengthens your relationship with discipline. When nobody is hyping you up, you learn to hype yourself. When nobody's clapping, you learn to clap for your own progress. When nobody sees your effort, you learn to become internally driven. And that's the kind of fuel that doesn't run out. Working in silence humbles you, but it also empowers you. It forces you to confront your excuses, your habits, your distractions. It teaches you to be patient with the process and ruthless with the work. It shows you that your growth isn't for entertainment, it's for evolution. And when you finally step into the world with something finished, something polished, something real, people will feel it. They'll hear the hours, they'll see the discipline, they'll recognize the dedication, because authenticity can't be faked and quality can't be hidden. So stay low while you build. Eliminate the noise. Stop seeking approval. Stop performing for people who don't even understand your purpose. Focus on the execution, because execution is what turns visions into victories. And when the time comes, the world will see exactly why you stayed quiet. Your results will be the evidence. Your growth will be the testimony. And your success will be the loudest thing you ever said. When your results show up, everything gets quiet. All the conversations people had about you, all the doubt they try to plant in your mind, all the whispers, all the negativity, it all fades the moment your work speaks louder than their words. You don't gotta argue with anybody when the evidence is standing right in front of them. You don't gotta defend yourself when your consistency has already done the talking. You don't gotta clap back, justify, convince, or explain. Results are the purest form of truth, and truth don't need a PR team. It stands on its own. Success is the cleanest response you can ever give. It shuts everything down without you raising your voice. It's the type of silence that commands respect, not because you demanded it, but because you became undeniable. People may ignore your effort. They may overlook your potential. They may underestimate your hunger, but they can't deny your results when they show up. Results remove the debate. They remove the doubt. They remove the disrespect. There's no conversation left to have when you've already proven yourself through action. Look at Tesla. Look at Elon Musk. When he was building it, people laughed. They said an electric car company was crazy. They said it was guaranteed to fail. They said nobody would trust a brand new manufacturer with something as essential as transportation. They called it impossible, irresponsible, unrealistic. They doubted him so loudly you could hear it from every corner of the industry. But he didn't get on a microphone to clap back. He didn't waste time arguing with critics. He didn't tweet pages and pages begging people to believe. He built the product. He built the vision, he built the future. And when those cars hit the road, when they started out performing gas engines, when they became a status symbol, a lifestyle shift, a cultural shift, that was the conversation. Your work is your voice. Your results are your reputation. Your consistency is your confidence. When you show up every day, even when nobody is watching, even when nobody believes, even when nobody supports you, you build something people can't take away. You build something bulletproof. People can argue with your opinions, but they can't argue with your outcomes. Outcomes don't lie. Consistency don't lie. Progress don't lie. And the most beautiful part of it all is that results don't require permission. They don't require approval. They don't require applause. They only require effort, real focused, disciplined effort. And here's what's wild: once you start winning, the same people who doubted you will be the first to rewrite history. They'll say they always knew. They'll act like they saw your potential from the beginning. They'll act like they believed in you before the world did. That's why you never take their doubt personally, because their doubt was never about you. It was about their own limitations, their own fear, their own lack of imagination. People judge your dream based on the size of their courage, not the size of your calling. You ever notice how folks don't respect you when you're grinding, but suddenly they want to get close when you're shining? That's because most people don't understand process, they only understand product. They don't respect preparation, they only respect performance. They don't see the nights you sacrificed, the tears you wiped, the failures you pushed through, the habits you built, the battles you fought internally. They only see the end result, the success story, and pretend they were part of it. That's why I always tell people, stop explaining yourself to folks who ain't even qualified to understand the path you're on. Stop trying to convince people who don't have the capacity to see what you see. Stop wasting breath defending a vision that wasn't given to them in the first place. Let your work handle the conversation. Let your results be your proof. Let your elevation speak for itself, because the truth is, people don't believe words, they believe patterns, they believe consistency, they believe outcomes. If you stay focused long enough, if you stay committed long enough, if you stay disciplined long enough, your results will make people question why they ever doubted you in the first place. They'll shift their entire energy. They'll start asking how you did it. They'll start trying to learn from you. They'll start seeking your advice. They'll go from doubters to observers, from observers to supporters, and from supporters to fans. Results rewrite the narrative every single time. They turn critics into spectators. They turn skeptics into believers. They turn silence into applause. And you don't even have to say a word. What you're building right now, in the dark, in the quiet, behind the scenes, is going to speak louder than anything you could ever post, caption, or announce. That's why noise can't distract you if your focus is bigger than your need for validation. If you stay committed to the mission, if you trust the process, if you keep showing up even when nobody notices, you give yourself the power to let the work tell the story. So don't get caught up in trying to prove yourself. Don't waste your time defending your dream. Don't look for approval, cosigns, or permission. Keep building, keep grinding, keep planting seeds, because when your season comes, when the results start blooming, when the world finally sees what you've been quietly creating, everything you've done in silence will echo louder than any speech you could have made. That's the power of results. They don't just talk, they resonate. They shift perspectives, they rewrite stories, and most importantly, they remind you that every minute you spent focused instead of proving was worth it. Every second you stayed down was part of the setup. Every sacrifice was an investment in a future you always knew was yours. Just keep going. The results will handle the rest, because silence builds discipline, and discipline builds destiny. It's crazy when you think about it. Everybody wants a better life, but not everybody wants the lifestyle that creates it. Most people want to be held accountable by someone else, like they need a coach, a boss, a crowd, a cheerleader. But real ones know the moment you start holding yourself accountable is the moment your whole story shifts. Silence forces you into that space. You ain't got nobody clapping, nobody checking your progress, nobody reposting your grind. It's just your vision, and whether you're willing to honor the promise you made to yourself. That's when you learn who you really are. You learn what you really want. You learn if you're somebody who talks about it or somebody who builds it. Waking up early hits different when nobody's expecting you. Opening books hits different when the world is doing everything but that. Grinding on days when you're tired, frustrated, drained, that's when your character is getting built piece by piece. And the crazy thing is, you don't even see the transformation at first. Silence makes the progress feel invisible. But invisible progress counts too. Growth don't announce itself, it accumulates. You start noticing little things. Your habits get sharper, your energy gets stronger, your focus gets tighter. You stop being moved by the same distractions. You stop entertaining the same conversations. You stop wasting time on people who ain't aligned. Discipline starts shaping your identity. Your standards rise, and once your standards rise, your life gotta rise with it. Even science backs it up. The people who rely on motivation burn out fast. Motivation is like a spark. It lights you up for a moment, makes you feel unstoppable for a day or a week, then it disappears. But discipline is the engine. It don't care how you feel. It don't care about your mood. It don't care about the weather or who texted you or who let you down. Discipline is that voice in the back of your mind saying, get up, handle your business, stick to the plan. That's why people who master discipline outperform motivated people by over 60%. It's not luck, it's not talent, it's consistency. When I was building my catalog, it wasn't glamorous. It wasn't lights and fame, it wasn't sold out crowds. It was quiet mornings reading books on business. It was long nights in the studio writing, rewriting, experimenting, failing, learning. It was turning down distractions because the marathon demanded that version of me. Nobody saw the paperwork I had to study. Nobody saw the meetings I had to sit through. Nobody saw the sacrifices, the arguments, the setbacks, the confusion. But silence held me together, because when you quiet the world, you can finally hear yourself. That's what people don't understand. Discipline ain't punishment. It's alignment. It's when your actions match your ambitions. It's when your lifestyle matches your dreams. It's when your habits match your goals. Most people dream like kings but grind like peasants. They want millionaire results with minimum wage discipline. They want big blessings while keeping small habits. They want a transformed life without transforming themselves. But silence don't let you lie to yourself. Silence makes you face the truth. Either you're building or you're bullshitting. Working quietly keeps you honest. When the world ain't watching, you realize you ain't doing it for applause. You're doing it for outcome. You're doing it for legacy. You're doing it because deep down you know you're meant for more, and anything less feels like disrespect to your own potential. That's a different type of fuel. That's the fuel that makes you wake up even when sleep feels good. That's the fuel that makes you study when the timeline is more enticing. That's the fuel that makes you grind when distractions are screaming your name. Silence becomes a gym for your character. Every day you show up, you're strengthening a muscle, the muscle of commitment, the muscle of patience, the muscle of vision, the muscle of saying no to what drains you and yes to what grows you. You start realizing success ain't a moment, it's a lifestyle, it's a rhythm, it's a routine. And once you lock in, once you get consistent, once you get addicted to progress, it's over. You become unstoppable. And that's the beautiful part. Nobody can take discipline from you. They can take money, they can take opportunities, they can take relationships. But discipline, that's yours forever. It's the one investment that always pays you back with compound interest. It's the reason people who weren't the smartest, weren't the most talented, weren't born with advantages still end up at the top. Because discipline don't care where you started, it only cares where you're willing to go. I remember telling people, the marathon continues, and a lot of folks heard it as a slogan. But it was a strategy, a mindset, a promise, a blueprint, because anything worth having requires endurance. Silence teaches you that. It teaches you to pace yourself. It teaches you to fall in love with the process, not the praise. It teaches you to trust the steps even when you can't see the staircase. And the craziest thing, the work you do in silence becomes the life you celebrate in public. People will swear your wins came overnight, not knowing how many nights you spent grinding alone. They'll call you blessed, not realizing you built your blessings brick by brick while nobody was paying attention. They'll call you lucky, not knowing luck is just the world noticing what you've been doing for years. Silence ain't empty, it's full of work, full of lessons, full of breakthroughs, full of elevation. It's where you transform into the person your dreams require. It's where you learn the patience, discipline, humility, and focus that success demands. It's where you stop being controlled by moods and start being powered by mission. It's where you go from wishing to working, from hoping to executing, from dreaming to becoming. And when you finally step out, when the world finally sees the results, when the work finally pays off, you gon' realize every silent hour was worth it. Because silence didn't just build your discipline, it built your destiny.